ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to ORL Season 11 Race 4 at the city of Baku, Azerbaijan. As we are already underway in qualifying, 10 minutes remaining of the session, and as you can see, courtesy of the fantastic in-game graphics on the left, you can see all the drivers who are racing. We're seeing your current champion Calcifer currently sitting in 9th, but don't forget your Veloce drivers, Hypers, Kimi Larson for Sauber. Actually, is James down? No, James isn't there, and neither is Formula Danny, unless I am completely blind. They might be joining though for the races. I do spot that there are 2 spaces still available, so both Saubers, not actually, it's a Sauber and a Ferrari that are missing right now, so that could be James or Formula Danny that will be joining to team up with Kimi Larson, who is a Sauber F1 esports driver, and I can't quite remember who is the teammate of Mark in Ferrari. I think it's Nameless. Yes, it is Nameless. So hopefully he will be joining us at one point. Also, SHZ Hazard is with us. We know SHZ fairly well. Chromatic used to race last season. Would be nice to see him back at some point. Also, Hadler joining us from AOR Split 2. Will be interesting to see how he can perform as well. Let's put Fitted on and keep an eye out on that, as I'm going to open up YouTube and keep an eye out for all of your fantastic messages. Don't forget, if you do have any messages that you want to have read out on stream, do just drop them in the chat, regardless of whether that's support for a driver, you know, something you'd like to see in the race, maybe a way for us to improve our production. All of it would be greatly appreciated, as we're always looking to improve here at ORL. So don't forget to invite your friends over. You know, I'm sure they want to see some good, high-quality racing coming in. Right, so qualifying. What do we talk about then? Let's get on board with Mark, actually, because he's someone who's been doing really well over the course of the season, but always seems to have unfortunate issues, whether it's a disconnect, lag coming in, or last time out, clipping the wall on the entry to the pit lane at China, and then the game disqualifying him for blocking the pit lane entry, even though he was, you know, trying to get going. So yeah, hopefully no bumps in the way for Mark, because we know he is very quick, but just needs to find potentially a little bit of consistency, and maybe some good internet as well. As we're also seeing Flex's Marcy joining us today in one of the McLarens. The other McLaren is being driven by Presnyder. But let's get on board with Stiv, because Stiv has been doing well throughout the season, or at least in the races he has been taking part in. Very quick in qualifying, and the only man who can really beat him is Formula Danny or James. And neither of them seem to be here at present. If James is joining us after qualifying, well, James, the last time James started at the back was at Bahrain, where he was having a fantastic run, and unfortunately though, due to Steam playing up, there were a load of disconnects, and James was one of them. Also, can we please keep the chat in English as well? That would be great, just so that everyone can take part in the conversations. Oh, as Stiv runs wide coming up through the castle section into turn 8, and he just runs right into the wall. Not quite sure if he had any wing damage there at all. Sitting on board with Stiv on those soft tyres through the final corner. I'm not sure if he's just going to be able to improve it. I have missed the delta time through sector 2. Also, hello Mr. Copper Piston, how you doing, dude? Thank you very much for tuning in. Steve comes into the pits. He doesn't want to do anything more. 5 minutes remaining in the session, so drivers beginning their final hot laps. So let's see where we can go. Also, let's get some predictions in. Who do we think is going to take pole? I think my money personally is on Steve because he's just very, very quick. But I know a lot of you guys might be looking towards Hypers. A few controversial issues regarding him last time out at China. To be fair, I think a couple of them were questionable, but it was an entertaining race nonetheless. Also, welcome to Paddy, Hadler, and Get Owned, I think, who are all new to us with ORL, and Brownie, two SHZ drivers joining us today. Great to see that coming through. Can thank good old Chromatic for, I'm sure, spreading the word. First, we sit on board with Napadovsky. Actually, Velocity Hype is going to put on a set of mediums as he makes his way out of the pit. So, let's see what he can do. He's potentially going to be the top of the medium runners. And that might put him on a really good strategy for the race. We saw back at Bahrain, Hypers didn't qualify on pole, but was the top of all the drivers on the harder compound of tyres. Similar thing we saw the reversal Steve. He qualified in second alongside Formula Danny, but he was on the softer of the two compound tyres, so he ended up getting caught out in the race, which Velocity Hypers went on to win. But Napadovsky into the pits, he's clearly not happy. There's Brownie, he's not on a lap. Paddy coming into the pits. It seems like we're not going to be able to see a single lap coming through. Let's ride on board with Get Owned in the second of the Mercedes. See, I can't even check certain statistics because I only have one monitor, and if I try to tab out, for some reason the game decides that it wants to go to the pause menu even though I'm not playing the game because this game is stupid. Codemasters, fix your game please. This existed last season, can we get rid of it? Spectator settings should not be the same as race settings, but Get Owned, I think, might be another driver to come into the pits. Yeah, here we go. So, while everyone is on their outlap, allow me to take this opportunity to run through the championship standings as it is coming into race 4. Because we've got Hypers currently sitting on 60 points ahead of Formula Danny on 44. Napadovsky is sitting in third place on 25 points. Followed by Velocity James, he's sitting in 4th on 20, with Photon and Mark close behind on 17 and 15 points respectively. As we make our way and we take a look at the Constructors' Championship, Alpha are sitting in first on 63 points after a strong result in China, getting the 1-2, while Mercedes are in second, courtesy of those strong points coming through from Hypers. They're on 61. Third place is Red Bull on 34, with Scuderia Toro Rosso in 4th place on 29, and Renault make the top 5 with 24 points. With that all said and done, let's make our way back to the action, and hopefully some people are now on hot laps. Stiv, here we go. He's actually coming around the final corner, so we're going to be able to see the first of the final laps come in. Stiv, what can he do? DRS has been activated, and Stiv doesn't seem to want to do a lap. Maybe he thinks he's got a bit too much tyre wear or something coming out. Colagon, though, on a hot lap. He's 4/10 up through the first sector, I believe that is, as he makes his way through turns 5 and 6. Sorry. Yeah, that was 3 and 4, now into 5 and 6. Slow it down, you have got to be patient as you feed the throttle in. Heading down towards 7. Very easy to run wide. He's going to break about 70 meters. Keeps it nice and tight as Cologon, I think he's backing out of the lap. No, he's still pushing, I think. Feeding the power back in. There's a yellow flag in Sector 1. That's not going to affect Cologon at all. Napadovsky currently sitting in second on his outlap. I don't think he's made it around in time. A lot of people are going to get caught out by this. Cologon jumping over the curb of turns 15 through 16. Misses the curb on the apex. That's good. These curbs are horrible sometimes. And we go into turns 18 and 19 flat out. Of course, there's Cologon weaving a bit. So Cologon potentially going to come into the pits. Yeah? No, he's not. Cologon going to keep on going. So 140.6. So Cologon just completely off the mark. Let's ride on board with Kim. Let's sit on board with Hadler currently. He's a 10th up on his best lap. A little bit too far to get the top 3, I feel. What can he do? It's a 37.6, not quite enough. Paddy entering into the castle section, but Kimi Larson coming through turn 16, through the kink of 17, and now into 18 and 19 flat. He clips both curbs. Not going to unsettle the car too much. And through the kink of 20 to complete the lap. Not sure if he's actually found any extra time as Mark moves up into 5th on the medium tires. That's a great job by him. What can Kimi Larson do? He takes pole with a 1:37 flat as Sauber secures their 3rd pole position of the season. Formula Danny taking it in Bahrain. James took it out last time out at China, and Kimi Larson this time. Napadovsky, can he do anything? He's 2/10 up. It's actually going to be really, really close. Red Bull versus Sauber. We don't usually see these guys battling it out. What can Napadovsky do? Coming down the hill. Jumps over the curb just like we saw Cologon doing. Napadovsky using all of the entry coming into turn 16. Feeding the power back on. No loss of traction whatsoever. Now into 18 and 19. Takes as much curb as he can. Let the car out as much as possible. In through the kink of 20. Napadovsky. Just the run down to the line. Hadler moves up into 4th. Cologon moved up into 5th. Mark has been demoted to 6th. But all eyes are on Napadovsky. He's a 37.1. And he's 200ths off the mark. It's going to be a Sauber Red Bull front row. Kimi Larson leading the way. Unless Brownie and Mark can have anything to say. Mark's not on a quick lap. Brownie's found 3/10, but I don't think that's good enough. What about Hypers? This is always a man to watch out for, but I don't think he's having the best of runs. He's 8/10 up at the minute. This is only going to be about 37.9, so he might be able to take 5th, but I think that's going to be it. Hypers coming through the final section now. What can he do on a fresh set of medium tires? Calcifer's finished his lap. He's down in 14th for now. We're going to have to wait for Brownie as well. Not quite sure if he's on a hot lap. But Hypers, what can it be? It's a 37.8. And it's only enough for 5th place. Hypers tends to struggle with the qualifying. Brownie, he's up by a 10th. But I don't know if he can find anything. Jumping completely over the curb of 15 down into 16. He's 6/10 up. He might be able to jump ahead actually of Hypers. If he can find another 10th or so, he could make it into 4th and split up those Racing Point Force Indias. Brownie down the start finish straight. What can he do? There's nothing to do now except keep the foot planted. It's going to be really close as it's the 37.9. Can't quite pit Hypers. And the Racing Points will remain, locking out the 2nd row of the grid. Only member left now, Hazard. What can he do? Not enough at all. Don't forget, guys, please keep the chat in English so everyone can feel part of the conversation. There we go. See, I'm level 4. It's absolutely fantastic stuff. However, just to run you guys through qualifying, Kimi Larson takes pole ahead of Napadovsky. The Racing Points round up the 2nd row of the grid, stiff ahead of Hadler. Hypers in 5th ahead of Brownie with Cologon and Photon right behind. Mark and Paddy make up the top 10, but we're going to be heading into a short break, and we will be right back, actually. sorry, yeah, we're going to be right back with the start of the Grand Prix. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, to start this again. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to race 4 of ORL Season 11 as we make our way back into Europe for the street circuits of Baku, Azerbaijan. Just to run you through what happened in qualifying, Kimi Larsen took pole ahead of Napadovsky with a late run. Second row of the grid is made up of the racing points as Stiv takes third ahead of Hadler. Hypers came in with a late lap but could only manage 5th ahead of SHZ Brownie. Colligan took 7th after not pushing too hard on his final lap, while Photon and Mark sit in 8th and 9th position. Paddy takes 10th ahead of Wow in 11th, with Get Own and the other SHZ of Hazard in 13th. Krusix takes 14th ahead of reigning champion Kalsfer, with Flexus Marcy in 16th ahead of his teammate Presnyder, with Triton Lehman down in 18th. Just in case anybody wasn't with us for the previous races, your championship currently sits like this. Hypers is sitting in first place on 60 points ahead of Formula Danny in second with 44. Napadovsky sits third with 25 ahead of James on 20. And taking 5th and 6th is Photon and Mark with 17 and 15 points respectively, with James and Formula Danny not taking part in the race. Hypers and Napadovsky have a great chance to get some valuable points. In the Constructors' Championships, Alfa Romeo sit in first with 63 points, courtesy of James and Formula Danny, but Mercedes, as we mentioned, have a good chance to reclaim that, with Velocity Hyper starting in 5th. Mercedes sitting second in the championship with 61. Red Bull with 34. Napadovsky has a good lineup starting in second. Toro Rosso are 4th with 29 points, and Renault are 24th, but their drivers of Wow and Hazard are starting outside the top 10, and they will need to do a bit of work. However, drivers are lining up on the grid, and we await the start of the 4th race of the season. Here we go, though. Waiting for the 5 red lights. Kimi Larsen starting on pole, and away we go for the 4th race of the season. It's a good start coming through, but this is a cluster of cars. Oh, that's Formula Danny down the inside. Sorry, that's not Formula Danny. That's Brownie. There's a massive spin, and that's going to cause a few issues. I think I saw Racing Point coming off as well. That's Hadler. Contact in the first corner and drama already, but this is all working out for Kimi Larsen, who has a fantastic lead. However, Napadovsky has to be a little bit careful because Stiv right on his tail. We've lost games now. Not quite sure what's going on there, but we're going to focus on the racing. Stiv right behind Napadovsky. Velocity Hyper's not too far behind that. Let's run through the order, see if there are any wheel-to-wheel action going on as Lehman and Marcy. Lehman with a fantastic start, up to 14th already, looking for the outside. Coming into turns 5, will be able to make the move work. Calcifer up into 12th as well. Good start from him. He always seems to do very, very well on the starts as Flexes Marcy looking for a potential way through onto Lehman. As we move further down the grid of Brownie, and Brownie's just not having the best of runs. Hadler able to get back onto the back of the pack, but Brownie, and I feel deservedly so, was the cause of the accident, is now completely out of the runnings. As we look up the field, are there going to be any overtakes coming through? Napadovsky, Stiv, a gap starting to open up, and I'm just going to try to get sound back for a second. There we go. We've got sound back, ladies and gentlemen. Hot fixes right here on ORL. Stiv in the slipstream of Napadovsky. The game hates us. Brownie picks up a 3-second time penalty as Stiv down the inside will be able to take the position and moves up into second place. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, if you get... Oh, Prisnida! Prisnida has retired from the session. Not quite sure what happened there. Let's have a look. Oh, Brownie's into the pit, so we're not actually going to be able to see what's happening. Not too much happening, though. Brownie has also retired from the session in the pits. Might have been a little bit of a rage quit coming through as Napadovsky right behind Stiv. So I dropped my pen, but Napadovsky right on the tail. There's a yellow flag in Sector 1, not quite sure what that's for. Hadler's actually dropped... No, he hasn't dropped a fair bit down. Don't know why it's the game saying that there's a 21-second gap. Gap to leader. No? Okay, this game hates us. Okay. Right. Good to know that game. Thank you very much. So you're just looking through the pack. Not too much really happening, but Kimi Larsen getting hunted down by Stiv and Napadovsky. Kalsfer almost inside the top 10, and that could be really good stuff, but also really good stuff on the cards for Red Bull. And you know, with a performance like this, 3rd and 5th, this might just about be enough to get them within catching distance of Alpha. They're currently sitting 29 points behind as Kimi Larsen sets the fastest lap, but Stiv matches it instantly and beats it as well, as Photon finding the way through on Get Owned. He'll make the move work as we're going to see Paddy right on the back of these two. Might be looking to pick up some pieces, but here at Azerbaijan, bit of a street circuit with a really long straight, so I'm guessing we're just going to see some very straightforward passes, but no real wheel-to-wheel action. Hopefully, though, I do get proved wrong. Oh, there's a yellow flag here. Has someone gone off? I think that's a racing point up ahead. Oh, no, Stiv, what's happened to you, my friend? Does he have any wing damage? Stiv from second place makes a mistake heading into turn 3. I think he must have just run wide and had to just reverse to get the car out. So Stiv, not what he wanted at all. This is going to help Mark, who's been so devoid of luck so far this season. He'll be looking to get his 3rd podium of the season. Sorry, 2nd. Oh, Stiv has a moment. Matthias Colligon picks up a 3-second time penalty as well. So there seem to be a few issues with Stiv's car as we're going to see a bit of a battle going on down here. Calcifer being hunted down by Wow. Krusix losing the back end. This might put Calcifer into overtaking distance. Can Calcifer get the run through what is essentially the final corner of turn 16? Through the kink of 17 and now into 18 and 19. Calcifer is close. He can look for a potential way through. Photon is quite close to Stiv. He might look for something as well. Calcifer right on the tail of Krusix. He moves to the inside. Down the straight we go. We're seeing someone else move to the inside. Further up, riding on board with Wow. He's going to look for the inside. Oh, there's almost contact, but Wow forced to back out. Krusix going to have DRS as Flex's Mars C picks up a 3-second time penalty as well. Calcifer gets an alright drive. Krusix, though, has the DRS available. Calcifer doesn't. Here we go. Calcifer doesn't actually go fully defensive. Krusix potentially down the inside. Calcifer shuts the door while one runs a bit wide and can't take full advantage of it as the engine sound is like sandpaper right now. as well, or looking potentially for a little look on Crucix. Crucix has a moment. Wow, might be looking for something now, heading into turn 7. He won't go for it though, and all of this is just going to give Calcifer more time to stretch a lead and close into Paddy. Calcifer now up into the top 10. Mark in 5th, falling back as no real battle for the lead happening just yet. Photon closing in to Stiv, but Stiv doing similar things on towards Mark. Oh, here we go. Lehman catching in on this battle as Crucix being the cork in the bottle. As we're going to actually change the details to tires, because Crucix, Calcifer and Crucix are the two drivers on hard tires, but wow, and Crucix getting really feisty up here. Lehman going to look to potentially pick up the pieces in the slipstream, has the DRS. Crucix and wow, side by side, wow, going for the outside. I think he's going to be able to breeze past. Crucix going to have to back out of it as wow, moves up into 11th place. As Crucix might look for a way back, as is that the racing point up ahead? No, it's Calcifer. I just wanted to check. But Lehman on wow, looking for something here. Can he find anything round the outside? Oh, there's contact. This might push Lehman into the wall. So he's going to be able to stand riding on board with Hazard, as Lehman looking for the inside into the right-hander of turn 4. Crucix still looking for a potential way through. Has the second runner of Hazard right behind him. Renner currently sitting outside the points. Photon really close to Stiv right now, as Crucix, oh, he has a cheeky little look, but he's not going to be able to get anywhere with that, as Photon really close to Stiv. Stiv still within that 1 second of Mark though. As Crucix, no, oh, Lehman's actually found the way past Crucix. Good stuff from him. Lehman also on those hard tires. Flexes Marcy on the soft tires, not able to have the best of run so far. Lehman closing in onto wow, and will be looking for a way through. Hyper sets the fastest lap. Actually, he moves up into second as Kimi Larson jumps into the pits. And Hyper's right on the tail of Napadovsky. So, right, let's just clarify who's in the pits. Kimi Larson from first, Stiv in as well. He was further down the order, but Hypers, this is the battle for the provisional lead. Hypers going to make his way to the inside. Will he do it on the brakes into turn 3? As actually Napadovsky tries to hold it around the outside. Can't quite do it, and Hypers moves up to first. Let's take a look though. Where has... oh, move happening up ahead. Wow, right on the back of Lehman once again. Actually, Lehman has just found the way through, and Lehman up into 9th place. Calcifer though closing in onto Paddy, who's on those soft tires that just don't seem to be working out very well. As Kimi Larson catching up to this Haas Renault trio. And we'll be looking to dispense as quickly as possible. He's on the medium tires now, so soft mediums versus soft hards versus what might be medium hards. Kimi Larson going for the one-stop strategy. It would seem 20 laps on the medium tires. Not sure if it's possible, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure these guys know exactly what they are doing. We're going to sit on board with Calcifer, who's closing in onto Paddy, who runs wide through turn 16. Calcifer right on the tail of Paddy now. He's on those hard tires. He's made it work. He's the first of all the hard tire runners. Calcifer versus Paddy, side by side as we head down the start finish. Oh, but look at this. It's Lehman who's getting a fantastic run. He's going to take the pair of them. Absolutely ridiculous stuff coming in. That is the power of DRS on this track, as Lehman moves up into 6th. Calcifer will only be able to take 7th. Let's see if there are any other close battles. Wow, yes. right alongside ARC. Sorry, that is WOW and ARC, and WOW finds the way through round the outside into turns 3 and 4, and we'll be able to make that move stick. Question is, where is Kimi Larson? He's on the tail of Hazard, but might be struggling a little bit as there's a yellow flag in sector 1. That might just be Flex's Marcy. No, it's Crew 6. Oh no, he just came out of the pits as well. No, Crew 6 not having a good day, and that might be Crew 6 out of the game as Flex's Marcy sets the fastest lap of the race. Napadovsky, he's come out of the pits. He's right behind Kimi Larson, so this is a great stop from him. But Hypers was ahead of Napadovsky, so I'm not quite sure what's happened, but Napadovsky gonna jump ahead. Sorry, not Napadovsky. Hyper's gonna jump ahead of everyone when he pits. He started on the medium tires, and he's been making that stint work. Napadovsky versus Kimi Larson for what is the first, depending on where Hypers will feed out. But can Napadovsky find anything? He's got a good run. He's gonna have the DRS surely into turn 1. He has a chance. Kimi Larson will leave it on the outside. He's not going to defend too hard. It's actually up ahead. Hazard makes the move on Paddy, but we're focusing on Napadovsky and Larson. Someone's into the pits, and Napadovsky moves up into 10th place. Kimi Larson might want a little piece of revenge though. Napadovsky a little later into the break, and can Kimi Larson get the drive? Napadovsky going to have DRS, and I think that's just going to be put a little bit of a wrench in the works for Larson. As we saw ARC Paddy coming into the pits, this promotes Calcifer up into 7th, and it's a Toro Rosso 4-7 right now. Still got a few pit stops to be made. As speaking of pit stops, literally everyone from 1st to 9th has to pit, but Hypers, when he pits, he's going to come out right in the thick of it. Triton, Lehman and Calcifer are on the hard tire, so they can stay out for a little bit longer, as Napadovsky right on the back of Hazard here. Kimi Larson, he comes very close to the wall through 8, but not close enough, he says. Napadovsky gets closer and closer to Hazard. As up ahead, WOW might be looking for a way through onto Calcifer, as it's very close between the pair of them. We're going to focus on Napadovsky onto Hazard. I feel like this is more likely to be a move. Napadovsky feeds the power in, coming through the chicane on the start-finish straight. Napadovsky going for the outside. Calcifer dropping the position up ahead, but Napadovsky still side by side. We saw Lehman do this, and Kimi Larson got to do exactly the same down the inside. Can he find 2 places? No, he can't, as Napadovsky going to be able to hold it round the outside and will take 9th place. As Kimi Larson actually somehow Hazard holds it onto him, and Kimi Larson is going to have to wait a lap before he can find a way through onto Hazard, as Napadovsky going to stretch out a lead now. Hello Mr. Ghost, how are you doing, my dude? Thank you very much for joining us, and welcome to round 4 of ORL here at Baku, Azerbaijan, as Kimi Larson struggling a little bit now. He did start on pole, and somehow he could have made 2 places on the start-finish straight as we entered lap 9, but somehow after gaining 2 places, he lost 2 places round the outside into turn 1, so interesting stuff coming through. But Kimi Larson now really struggling on these medium tires, so not quite sure if he took some wing damage actually, but that would kind of explain the issue he has. I can't see his front wing. Oh, we had a shot. Here we go. I think his front wing's intact, but he's getting closed in now by Stiv. Stiv very quick, so not the most surprising thing ever heard, as Napadovsky closing in onto Calcifer. Stiv is actually getting even closer to Kimi Larson. I don't think he can do anything here, but Kimi Larson into the pits, and yeah, he must have taken some front wing damage, because he's lost a lot of time to Hazard in the course of a lap. Oh, and Kimi Larson with potentially a rage quit coming through. Retires from the session. That just makes it even easier for Hypers and Napadovsky. And this is going to be great stuff for Mercedes and Red Bull to jump ahead of Alfa Romeo in the Constructors' Championship. Speaking of Constructors, Renault also currently sitting in 6th place. They needed some good points, and now Wow and Hazard are in the points. Kimi Larson, Brownie, and Snyder all retiring from the session. Also, I have to try to remember who is actually a driver and who is a reserve. Hypers, Colligan, Mark, Photon are all main drivers, as is Lehman, Wow, Napadovsky, Kalsper, Hazard, Stiv, Hadler, Get Owned are reserve drivers, as is Paddy, Flex's Marcy, Brownie, and Lars Snyder is the actual driver for McLaren, I believe. Kimi Larson was racing with another team last week, and he's filling in for Formula Danny and James this week. Here we go, Stiv within the DRS range on Hazard. I don't think Hazard can put up a fight. Stiv will just sweep over to the inside. Hazard just lets it hang around the outside. Stiv will move back over and will take 10th place, no problem at all. As we've seen, Napadovsky, he found his way past Kalsifer last lap, and he's only a second down on Wow, so might be able to find a way through up into 7th at the end of this lap. But Lehman having a great run so far on those hard tyres, the best of the hard tyre qualifiers. He's in 6th place, and he's actually closing in to Get Owned and Photon, as Mark picks up his first 3-second time penalty of the race. As does Crew 6, but Crew 6 pretty much at the back of the field, so that's not going to cause an issue. Kalsfer in 9th place. He's been picking up a couple of points here and there. Didn't have a very good run last time out in China in the wet. I think he finished practically second from last, but Kalsfer always practicing, always putting in the work, and hopefully he'll be back up to the pace of our top guys very soon. Don't forget, if you guys have any messages that you would like to have read out on stream, do just drop them in the chat, and yeah, I'll pull them out. So regardless of whether that supports, you know, opinions or stuff that you'd like us to do on ORL, from event ideas to ways to improve our production, whether it's get rid of me and put in a different commentator. Lol, you guys wouldn't want to get rid of me, you love me. But yeah, any ideas are always greatly appreciated, as they do help us massively. As there's a yellow flag in Sector 3. I'm not quite sure what it's for. I can't see it all. Yeah, but there's a yellow flag for some reason. But here we go. Okay, so Napadovsky, we've had a few pit stops coming in, as that's Hypers. He's out. He's come out in 3rd. This is actually ridiculous from Velocity Hypers. I have no idea how he has managed this. He's come out 3 seconds ahead of Napadovsky, and Hypers was behind Kimi Larson when he came into the pits, and somehow the overcut working absolutely fantastically at Baku. But Velocity Hypers on the back of Lehman. Get Owned and Lehman will only have one stop in this race, so Get Owned actually in a pretty good position for the races. Stiv retires from the session as well. What a shame, but this is going to be even more points. Stiv and Hadler, remember, they locked out the second row of the grid, 3rd and 4th, but Hadler with a really atrocious start. The dive bomb in turn 1 turned nasty, as he ended up wiping someone out. Lehman moves over to the inside. Hypers will take the position. Let's see if Get Owned will be coming into the pit. Not going to waste any time battling with Hypers. Oh, as well into the pits, as we can actually see there's a front wing debris on the entry into the pit lane. So if we run on board with Hazard, maybe we can see this. So just take a look. So that means that someone just rammed into that, and that could have been Brownie or Prisnida. Maybe if I can see the livery of the wing, I can get a better idea. But yeah, you can just see it there at the corners of your eyes as well. Into the pits. He's going to come out in 9th. Calcifer still has his one and only stop to do. Wow, has made it stop, but now on the hard tyres, Calcifer will be coming out onto the soft tyres as Paddy picks up a time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Oh, contact with the wall from Calcifer. That might just put a little bit of a scare in his step. He's got Mark on his tail, who's on fresh and medium tyres. Will be looking to find the way through on Calcifer. Will potentially jump ahead of Lehman as well. And even Napadovsky, if he can close that gap up, because he's only 5 seconds down. Calcifer runs a little bit wide, but it's more about Mark finding the traction. He finds the way past through 13s, 14, and now dropping it down into 3rd gear for turn 15. Kologon and Napadovsky, we've seen these two side by side so many times. They're so well balanced in terms of pace. Kind of reminds me of Verstappen Ricciardo. Actually no, Verstappen was a little bit better than Ricciardo. Who at Red Bull was really close? And don't even dare say Vettel Weber. Coulthard Weber? Maybe we can call them Vettel and Leclerc. There we go. Our Vettel and Leclerc. But Mark will be looking to close it down. 6 seconds to catches Calcifer into the pit. Photon moves up into 7th with that. He's going to pick up some good points for Toro Rosso, but it's not going to be enough to jump ahead of Red Bull, I fear. Will be enough to stretch out the lead ahead of Red Bull, though. Sorry, will be enough to stretch out the lead ahead of Renault, but not enough to jump the gap to Red Bull. As Paddy retires from the session as well, meaning that only 12 drivers are remaining. That means that even if I was racing and just driving around the track, I could have almost got a top 10. That's just how good I am. You know, it's not got nothing to do with DNFs. It's because I am just really good at this game. You should have seen me back at the ORL social event in Hockenheim. I finished like 5th. First time, practically first time on the game. I'd done a little bit of practice before the event. First time in those cars, just caned it. I was just so good. And imagine if I just put time into this, you know, you guys would be like, Formula Danny, we'd be like, wow, Milky, you're just so good. But, you know, I prefer casting. What can I say? Yeah, I do agree with you, Mr. Ghost. Wait until Monaco, I think. I think last time at Monaco we had quite a few incidents. Actually, the first race got redone because it was wet and one of the back markers was really struggling and he took out 2 of the leaders consecutively. So we decided to do a rerun because things. We had a dry Monaco, but it was crazy regardless, and I think only about 11 or 10 people finished. It was an absolute massacre as Mark moves past Lehman, who's just come into the pits. Where's Lehman going to come out, actually? Because Lehman had a difficult race at China. Remember how he had to dive out of the slipstream of Mark heading into the chicane on the entry into Sector 3. And that really cost him, and he ended up rage quitting there as well as Lehman. He's got Photon and Get Owned in his sights, but Lehman on the medium tyres and will be looking to get both of these guys. Photon down the inside, potentially Get Owned. Will he leave the room? Yes, he will. Photon side by side here with Get Owned. Lehman in the background as we make our way into through turn 4. Into 5 and 6. Owned right on the tail. Can't quite find anything though. Lehman right behind. We've seen Lehman as actually that's Kologon picking up the second 3-second time penalty. But Napadovsky right on the tail of Kologon. I'm not sure if Napadovsky just lost that because Kologon was behind, I think. But we've seen Lehman find the way past 2 people down the start-finish straight before. I believe that was on Calcifer, and I can't remember. I think it might have been Calcifer and Hazard or Calcifer and Wow. So let's see if Lehman can do this again. He's on the medium tyres, fresh medium tyres, so maybe they're not quite up to temperature yet. But let's see if he can find the drive here. Here we go. Lehman. Can he find the DRS? He is within a second, but these three are a little bit spread out. However, Lehman with the double slipstream, double DRS going to be coming in. Look how close Lehman is. He's much closer to Own than Own is to Photon. And I think Lehman is going to be able to find the way through. He goes for the inside, but he's going to have to come back in behind, as he won't be able to find the way through into turn 1. His next option will be into turn 3, as you do have DRS on this straight. It's up ahead, Napadovsky closing in onto Cologan as Get Owned looking for a potential way through on Photon. Not going to be able to find anything though. Calcifer, after his stop, came out in 10th place. As there's going to be no further move coming through. Calcifer, Hadler and Krusix at the back of the field. Krusix really far back and has a 3-second time penalty as well. So let's just run through the grid then and talk about penalties. Velocity Hyper's clean race so far, ahead of Cologan, who has 6 seconds worth of time penalty. Napadovsky hasn't picked up a penalty yet, while Mark with a 3-second time penalty. And if he can get within 3 seconds of Cologan, he will then be able to jump ahead. Photon in 5th, hasn't picked up a penalty. Neither has Get Owned in 6th. Triton Lehman in 7th. Wow in 8th, Hazard in 9th. None of them have picked up penalties either. Calcifer in 10th, ahead of Hadler, and Krusik is the last remaining driver, who's also our last driver who has a penalty with 3 seconds worth of time penalties. But anyway, back to racing, because Lehman has the DRS once again on Get On, but he's even further back this time, and he might have a little look, but not going to be able to find anything. We've got 10 laps to go. Napadovsky still on the tail of Cologan. Mark has much fresher tyres than Napadovsky, so let's see if he can close down this Red Bull pair and find some big points for Ferrari as Krusik retires from the session. I'm not quite sure where he is. I think Hyper's... Oh, yellow flag. Oh, there it is. Krusik, coming into the castle section. Lost it, just outbraked himself and goes straight into the wall at turn 8. Fortunate stuff, but that's another one biting the dust, and now Kaltzman Hadler battling for the wooden spoon. Next DNF means that everyone else will be picking up points. Here we go, the two Renaults in 8th and 9th. Photon though carrying Toro Rosso very well, sitting in a very solid 5th place, and we're only missing Formula Danny and James from what would have been our regular very, very strong lineup. So Photon's got a lot to be proud of with this. However, that being said, Stiv and Kimi Larson both retiring from the race, but Photon on a good strategy right now. He's 8 seconds down on Mark. I don't know if he can catch anything, but let's see. Get Owned has fallen to 1.2 seconds behind Photon and will not have the DRS. This is Lehman's chance, but he's not quite close enough actually. Let's see what he can do. No DRS available from Own will make this potentially easier for Lehman. Lehman has... Own doesn't go defensive and just lets Lehman through. 9 laps from the end, and Get Own decides that his best course of action is to let Lehman through, who is on those fresher tyres. Hello, Mr. Paku Pelaya. How are you doing? Thank you very much for joining us today. As Hadler picks up a 3-second time penalty, that's not really going to affect things too much unless Calcifer picks up a penalty as well. Mark falling back from this Red Bull pair, and it looks like he's just going to have to settle for 4th place, as there is a yellow flag in Sector 1 as Get Owned and Lehman very close together. Calcifer, Hadler, Hazard just made a mistake as... Oh no, wow. I think he's lost his front wing. What has he done? Because Wow was right behind Hazard in 9th place, and this has promoted Hadler to 10th now. So hello Yuri Bushin and Vitya. How you guys are doing as well? Get owned though, he's still within a second of Lehman, potentially could find a way through as they're about to make their way through turn 16. Can he get the drive? Hypers finds another fast lap on the race. He's been in absolutely impeccable form. Don't forget guys, we will be having driver interviews at the end of the race as usual, so if you have any questions for our top 3, don't forget to drop them down in the chat and I will do my absolute best to ask those questions to the drivers. It can be stuff about the race, their favorite tracks, favorite corners, favorite in real life cars, in real life drivers, etc, etc. So do give us as many ideas as you can, as it just makes everything a little bit easier, more fun. Don't forget to put timestamps down for your favorite moments in the race, especially when highlight videos come through as well, because it just makes it easier to make at the end of the season highlights or season trailers, etc, etc. So we really do appreciate that as well. Also, if you guys would like to participate in ORL, I believe there is a link down in the description which can link you to the ORL Steam community page, and you can find all the information there. I think we've also got dirt rally events every now and then, but you know, if we get a lot of dirt rally players, Project Cars players, even iRacing players, we can potentially create leagues for that. This is the A split. We have a B split as well. They're currently racing, so we have a wide skill variety to suit everybody, unless you're really bad. And by that I mean, like, you're worse than me, which is hard. But yeah, Photon currently still sitting in 5th place. Lehman is within a second now. He's pulled away from Get Owned. What can Lehman do? He's finding strong sectors. This could be a top 5 for Williams. When have you guys heard that before? A top 5 for Williams. Wow, amazing stuff. Lehman, I feel, is definitely George Russell. He's not Kubica. He's George Russell. Or Lance Stroll, because Lance Stroll is the guy I feel always somehow does well at Baku. Undeservedly so as well. Not saying that Lehman doesn't deserve it. I think Lehman's driven fantastically, but I think Lance Stroll doesn't deserve the podiums and half the credit he gets. But here we go. Lehman behind Photon within a second as Calcifer and Hazard. Calcifer down the inside of Hazard and makes his way up into 8th place. Will be able to get himself another point for Toros. Actually, I just realized Hazard has a nice kind of Ayrton Senna-esque helmet, so nice little kind of tribute there from Hazard. We do appreciate that. Actually, I really like that helmet, but Hazard very close to Calcifer. Might be looking for a way through as Hypers picks up his time penalty. I think Hypers was currently sitting 2nd in the fair driver standing, so this will drop him down a little bit. Mark was also doing really well, as was Photon and Formula Danny. So Formula Danny not here, will stay towards the top of the table, but yeah. We're going to move up. Let's see if Triton Lehman close enough to Photon. No, not quite. He does have those medium tyres, but with 5 laps to go, as Calcifer picks up a 3-second time penalty. Calcifer usually one of the cleanest drivers. Last season he gained a few penalties, but this season he's been in tip-top shape. Hazard doesn't have a penalty. Neither does Hadler. Actually, Hadler did just recently pick up one. Wow doesn't have one, so Calcifer has to be a little bit careful now. As Lehman closing into Photon. Mark still sitting within 6 seconds of Napadovsky, but Kologan pulling away, trying to get that 3-second gap to Napadovsky, but it doesn't matter because Kologan has 6 seconds worth of time penalties. As well, going to come in the pits. Could potentially go for a fast lap of the race, and if there is another retirement, that will, you know, get him an extra point. So unlikely that he's going to get into the points at the minute, so this is a nice little idea for WoW. The Lehman all over the tail of Photon. Can he find a way through? Meanwhile, up at the front, Hypers with an 8-second lead over Colligan. He's got this race in the bag, even with 1 3-second time penalty. As Lehman, that's an aggressive place to look for a move down the inside into turn 15. But Lehman will be able to get nice and close as they make their way through 16. Lehman, he is within half a second, and this could be his best chance of the race to make his way past Photon, as the DRS will be activated in just a second. He's right on the tail of Photon. Photon will go defensive. Not a lot of people going defensive this race, so good to see Photon going for it. However, Photon, can he find anything into turn 1? No. He's on the inside, and Lehman will sweep round and up into 5th. Photon could potentially look for something back here if he can find the traction through turn 2, sorry. And he's going to go back down the inside of Lehman. Great stuff coming through. Lehman, can he hold it around the outside? There's a little bit of contact, but Photon will reclaim 5th position. Great stuff from the two of them. However, Hadler closing in to Hazard. As I've lost my pen lid, it was like I was playing around with it and it's just now disappeared. But Hadler not going to be able to find anything through, as Lehman still within half a second of Photon. As Hazard, he's got Calcifer in his sights and will actually jump ahead of Calcifer after Calcifer gets his 3-second time penalty. Lehman closely once again to Photon, both of them jumping over the curb of 15. Can Lehman do it again? Tries to find the drive through 16, both clipping the curb quite nicely. As we are now on a lap 23 of 26, so 4 laps remaining now. As Lehman going to go for the inside, he catches up to Photon much quicker, and I think this time he's got it sorted. However, Photon not going to give up. He's straight back into the slipstream, not going to be able to find anything into turn 1. Can he stick right behind Lehman through turn 2? This is where he needs to get a drive if he wants to find the way back past. Oh, he misses the apex just a little bit, and I think that will be Lehman securing the position. As actually Hadler and Hazard, they're battling for position. Hadler makes his way past round the outside into turn 1. Photon still close to Lehman, looking for a potential way back in. Wow finds the fastest lap of the race on those new soft tires, but of course that won't matter unless he can jump ahead of someone, which means that he needs somebody to essentially retire from the race. Also, as soon as Wow pitted, Hazard could have gone for the pits as well, just to go for a faster lap as well, but decided to stay in this battle as Photon has a bit of a moment through turn 16 as we make our way through 18 and 19, and I think Lehman has pulled out a big enough gap and should have this 5th place in the bag. Sorry. As Colligan currently sitting in second, hasn't been able to pull out this 3-second lead over Napadovsky, let alone a 6-second lead. Not too much to talk about. Photon still in 6th. It's going to be a good result for the Red Bull and the Toro Rosso drivers. Mercedes as well will pick up a big chunk of points. As unlucky for Racing Point, they missed out on a lot after Stiv retired. Hadler and Stiv did such a good job in qualifying, but Hadler got caught out at the start of the race with a bad lunge into turn 1. And Stiv just got a little bit tilted as well. Finds a new fastest lap of the race. Still riding on board with Cologan as further down we're seeing Photon nice and close to Lehman. He's still within that second, so you never know. It's possible depending on how quickly Lehman's soft tyres run out. Photon close to Lehman once again, but not quite close enough, I fear, as they make their way through turns 18 and 19. As they're going to come into the kink of 20. Photon, he's going to have DRS. He's within half a second. You never know. Photon wants a battle on. He wants a battle and he's got one. DRS on Lehman. Will he go for the dive bomb? Oh, this closing speed is absolutely fantastic. Down the inside, he's going to have a look as Lehman going to hold it around the outside and will maintain position. Has to be careful. I'm sure Photon will want another go down into turn 3, and he is, I feel, close enough. Will Lehman go defensive? I don't think he will, as Photon too far back to find any move into turn 3 and 4. Photon though still right behind Lehman. He's 4/10 down. This is the only battle that is really going on. Hadler is almost within a second of Calcifer. Don't forget, Hadler has a 3-second time penalty, as does Calcifer, so both of them are racing for position right now. Oh. Meanwhile, at the front, Mark, he's just been falling off the pace and dropping down from Napadovsky, and with that 3-second time penalty, he's also going to fall behind Lehman and possibly Photon as well, as neither of them have time penalties. In fact, as we start the final lap of the race, can Photon actually find anything here onto Lehman? He is fairly close, and Lehman 2 seconds down on Mark, might end the lap within a second of Mark, but this race I'm pretty sure is going to go right down to the wire between Lehman and Photon. Hypers pretty much has the race sorted, but here we go. Photon wants to have a second shot. Photon going to go for the inside. Lehman, I think Lehman's outbraked himself. No, Lehman makes a corner anyway. Great stuff from Triton Lehman there. So now, can he break the gap? He's already pulled out a good gap, as Photon, I'm sure, is fully aware that this is his final lap of the Grand Prix. And down the inside he goes. Oh no, Photon, he overruns, as does Lehman as well. He had to go for it, I feel, as get owned, going to find a way through. Photon, you silly Billy. And this ruins the chance for them to get 4th and 5th. They had 4th and 5th in the bag because of Mark's penalty, and now neither of them are going to get 4th. What a way for this race to go, as Velocity Hypers makes his way through turn 16. It's been a flawless race for the Mercedes man. He's already taken 2 wins this season. Didn't quite find pole this time, but it didn't matter. He was the top of all the drivers starting on those medium compound tires, and he will make the tire strategy work. And Velocity Hypers will take his 3rd ORL win of the season. Matthias Colligan is 10 seconds down the road, as Photon picks up a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits, and it just gets worse and worse for him as Napadovsky Colligan follows suit in 2nd and 3rd. Mark will take a 4th. Somewhat lucky, as unfortunately Lehman forced. I'm not sure. Did Lehman run wide because he outbraked, or because Photon ran it down the inside? But absolutely fantastic stuff as Lehman does the donut across the line. Oh, that's a big accident. And does Photon want a piece of this? No, he doesn't. But Photon will take 7th. Hadler too far behind to capitalize on the 5-second penalty that Photon took. He'll take 8. Oh, wait. Calcifer side by side. This is going to go down to the wire. Calcifer just whoa. I'm sorry. That's BS. I'm sorry. the race officials need to cancel that because that is complete and utter BS. Calcifer gets a 20-second time penalty for overtaking under yellow flags because Triton Lehman spun on the start-finish straight. I think that's fine from Triton. Like, the race is over, but Calcifer getting a penalty for that, that's just outrageous. Wow. I mean, Calcifer had a 3-second time penalty. Hadler had a 3-second time penalty. But I feel that final time penalty needs to get overruled because that is actually ridiculous. But there we go. Once again, those are your podium sitters. And to run you guys through... So, to run you guys through the final standings, Velocity Hypers takes the win ahead of Napadovsky and Matthias Colligan as Red Bull Racing round out the podium. Mark is fortunate to take 4th after Lehman and Photon almost have a coming together into turn 3. Speaking of Lehman, he took 5th ahead of Get Owned, who was able to jump ahead of Photon with the aforementioned incident. Hazard took 8th ahead of VP Hadler as Calcifer with a 20-second time penalty at the end is absolutely somewhat ridiculous. But wow, in 11th, he did pick up the fastest lap of the race. As we're just going to quickly run through some of the incidents, so we have it on streamers. There we go, just going to run through. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be heading into a short break and we'll be right back with driver interviews. So make sure you use this chance to think of some questions you would like me to ask the drivers, and I will do my best to get those through. But we'll be right back in about 5 minutes, so don't go anywhere and we'll see you in just a short bit. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for our post-race interviews, and joining us we have, finishing in 5th place was MRL Mark, in 6th place was Triton Lehman, and our race winner Velocity Hypers. How are you guys all doing?
Fine.
Good.
Well.
Right. Hazard's joining us as well. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Right. Let's start up with you, Hypers. Hazard, could you just get rid of the echo, please? Thank you.
Oh.
Right, so, Hypers. Once again, you started on the harder compound tyres, and a flawless race, really.
I guess, yeah. Definitely starting on the medium tires, I felt like this is the way to go, as softs were out really quickly. So I just, I got kind of pole position on the tires, I was the fastest on mediums.
Yep.
And got off to a clean start, and then as the race went on, opportunities came. I took advantage of people making mistakes and just won, so really happy. I maximized the situation where there is no Formula Danny or these guys, so I maximized the possible outcome out of that, and yeah, extended the lead of the championship again to a pretty good amount. So I'm happy with that.
I think you said last week as well that you do like Baku, so good job. And, you know, heading to Spain for round 5 next week, how are you feeling for that?
Pretty good. I like Spain. It's an enjoyable track to drive, so hopefully there I can repeat today's result. I really hope so.
Yeah. As I'm seeing a really funny comment coming through in the chat, but I'm not going to ask that question. Moving on to you, Mark. You had a pretty good race. Things were looking good for you, and just talk us through the race in general.
Yeah, it was a pretty boring race. I was quicker than the guys behind me for some reason, and the guys in front of me were quicker than me. So, yeah, just drove my laps and got 4th in the end.
Yeah. And then going to you, Lehman, we talked a little bit before we came live. Talk us through that incident on the final lap.
Well, it was just wait. Okay, now it should be better.
Yeah.
It was basically Photon missed his braking point because at that place, at this type of lightning at the circuit, it's sometimes it's braking boards look very similar, and he just misjudged and broke at 50 meters to that corner, and or didn't brake, just tried to go and avoid me, but yeah, I didn't suspect this kind of thing, and I just I could have just turned in later, but I turned in normally, so I was collected in that incident. And then my chances of getting marked penalties at the end were done, but P5 is still a good result for me, as I was starting from last place because of some incidents last race.
Yeah. Going on to you, Hazard, talk us through your race as well. How was the car feeling? Just in general. Hazard, you there? Okay, no, Hazard's not here anymore. Okay. Oh, I think he's back.
Hello?
Hey, Hazard.
I don't know what happened there.
No worries at all. So yeah, go on.
Well, to finish P8, that was a good result for me, considering the pace from the drivers in this league, in this tier. So, yeah, in the first stint, my tyres were quite bad towards the end. I had a nice battle with a couple of the drivers, and obviously at the end I managed to keep it close enough to the Calcifer and one of the VP guys, I can't remember his name, to beat them on penalties. So great result for me, I think. I'm very happy with that.
Oh, Good job. And actually, kind of a general question to all of you. Did any of you catch what happened going into turn 1? Because I saw someone massively outbraking themselves.
Well, it's just Baku.
Alright, well, thank you guys very much for joining, and best of luck to all of you next week at Spain.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright guys, that was Hypers, Hazard, Mark and Layman. Once again, another thank you to them for joining us. This is the end of the stream, so thank you guys for joining us. Next week we will be back for round 5 at Spain, 7:45 PM BST as usual. Make sure you join us for that, and we'll see you next week. Thank you very much, and goodbye for now.